Hey, what's up you guys? Yes, I am back here again with a new video. I know I've been away for a couple of months now, couple of weeks now, but I wanted to make a Justice League video for you guys, but you kind of said on Twitter, no, we don't want one, so I was like, well, fair enough. And there was no other films that were in the cinema that kind of like caught my eye that I was like, oh yeah, I could do a video on that. So that's why I've been away for some time, but I am back, and I am back here again with The Last Jedi, the new Star Wars film that has just come out, and I've got a lot of conflicting things. I like it, but then I don't like it, but we'll get on to that one in a minute. But I also put on Twitter, do you want to have a Last Jedi review? And I put yes for spoiler, yes for no spoiler, no and something else. And for those 4 people who voted, thank you, they wanted a sort of, a spoiler review. So it will be a spoiler review, which is kind of better, and I've left it a couple of times because I went to go and see it on Wednesday on the midnight showing of it, and I could have made one on Thursday, but I thought no, it's only really just come out, so I thought I'd do it on the weekend. So if you've already watched it, you can watch this and go, oh yeah, I know that bit and stuff like that. But I didn't really want to make a spoiler review, but you guys asked for it on Twitter, so I was like, well, fair enough then, I'm going to make a spoiler review. But anyway guys, I saw it on Wednesday and I saw it in the midnight showing. Now I've never been to a midnight showing, but oh my god, it was so cool. I took a picture with stormtroopers, I took a picture with some other things, I don't know their names, but I know that they're from the dark side, well, the First Order. And then like I had like my hair, if you're on social media, if you're on any of my social media, you'll see this. I had my hair as like the Princess Leia sort of like crown thing, but I'm not that high tech, so I did like 2 plaits and then just like clipped them over. Then I had my Princess Leia top, and I was like, oh, one of them's gone though now, but I had dark side and I had light side, so I was like, I have like, my nails is like lightsaber. I'm 10 years old, but I'm still so tired from it. So if I get some sort of things muddled up throughout this, I am so sorry, but I'm tired and my brain is just not working today. Don't scream at me and call me a fake fan. I've only just really started watching them like this summer, so I'm not like a devoted fan that's been brought up with them, okay? I'm a new fan to this, but I still love the franchise so much and I'm like enthusiastic about it. But let's get on with the video before I ramble, because this is going to be a long video. I'm so sorry. So the first thing is, I like the director for this one. I thought compared to The Force Awakens, this film was so aesthetically pleasing. Cheeky bit of film studies in there for you guys. But it was just so beautiful. Some of the shots that they had were, you're just sitting there in awe. And it's definitely a film that I may consider going and watching in IMAX, because I think even in IMAX it would be so much heightened and it would be so beautiful. I really want to see this in IMAX, because some of the shots, especially when the rebellion ship goes light speed straight in through the First Order spaceship, it just goes straight through and it just poof, and then it just goes quiet, and then it snaps you back into the action, and oh my god, that scene, I just want to watch it. I really want to watch it in IMAX because it just looks so cool. And I'm not too sure of other work that the director's done, because I'm not sure that I've seen any of his work. So I don't really know if he's an auteur in how he works, but seeing this film, if this is like how he does his films and how he styles them, then I am going to be one of his like fans, because honestly some of the shots in there just captivated you and you just like, it was. However, as a film I did find some wrong bits with it, and it was mainly through the plot of the film actually itself. Now I don't know if it's because I was tired and it was because it was a midnight showing that I really didn't take much of it in. However, I do think maybe on the second watch I may start to understand the story a bit more, but talking to many of my friends, even they said there wasn't really a cohesive plot. You don't really know what's happening. You have Rey and Luke, and you have Rey and Kylo, you have Kylo and Snoke, you have Flynn, you have Finn, and you have Rose, you have too many things happening at once, and then they all start to try and jumble up and it's like a jigsaw piece and it just doesn't seem to jam into the right thing. It just seemed a bit lacking. It's like there was good bits in it, don't get me wrong, and I do think some parts of the storyline I really did get invested into. However, I just do think that it wasn't a clear structure. Now in the narrative as well, there's a lot of cliche moments in there and very predictable moments. I did find myself eye rolling a couple of times, which I kind of didn't like because it didn't sort of, it's not, I don't eye roll except for like when it was the prequels, because the prequels were just prequels, but I don't, when I watch the originals and when I watch Force Awakens, I don't have that eye rolling, oh my god, it's so predictable. I don't see things coming. Sometimes you do, and I think in film sometimes there are some bits that are predictable, but with this I saw a lot of things happening, and I will talk about the cliche moments a little bit in the future of the film. But like, also the film started to get borderline comedic. Now I love the odd joke now and again, and when Luke Skywalker, all the beams and guns were shooting at him and the man's like, do you really think you killed Luke Skywalker? And then all the dust disappears and then it's just Luke going like that. That I found hilarious, and I was like, yeah, go on boy. But then with the porgs, now I am so pro-porg. I love them. I'm going to admit it now. I love porgs. However, as much as I love them, they were used a bit too much throughout some of this stuff. There was one sequence with Chewbacca flying the Millennium Falcon, and you had like the sequence of that. And in the sequence you had 3 bits, I think it was about 3 or 4 shots of the porgs. Now at the start it was like, oh look, it's so cute, haha. And then it kept on throughout the sequence, and the last just kind of fizzled out because it was so overused. And it's like, yes, the porgs are cute, but I think you're using them a bit too much for comic relief. In some places it really, really worked. But then in that part it was overused and it just kind of got a bit meh. And then also some of the jokes as well, I think they were kind of forced. And it was like, as much as I know that this is meant to be like a kiddish film and it's meant to be like fun, and I do like the occasional joke, as I said, I don't think it kind of stuck with what people were saying it was going to be, because many people said this film will be dark in their tone and it's going to be like one of those where it's still a kids film but maybe some kids can't watch it because it's going to be dark. Now there was dark aspects to this film, however I do think even with the comedic value it kind of sort of, it had tonal issues for me, because I was kind of a bit like, well, I've seen darker in the Star Wars saga and this just kind of seems like, oh yeah, it's going to be dark, it's going to be dark, and it's like, ooh. Yeah, it had like a few dark bits, but nothing can get darker than Anakin killing children, so. The first storyline that I didn't really like was the Kylo Ren and Rey story. Now, something about like the Force, Snoke got them to connect through the Force so they could see each other and see their surroundings when not actually being with each other, and I think it was something to do with connecting through the Force. I'm not too sure, that's why I wanted to watch it again, but I couldn't watch it because I have no time. But they kind of like touched and they did like all like the looking at each other through the eyes, and to me it just seemed like a forced sort of love story or something. Like all the fangirls and fanboys will be like hashtag Kylo Ray. I didn't know what their ship name is. There probably is a ship name for them, but I just, because I'm not invested in the characters, I don't care what their ship name is. I just think it was very forced and I was eye rolling a little bit like, oh my god, just like do it already and get the tension away. It just, with this I think they kind of dragged out the, oh my god, they could be falling in love a little bit too much, because like you have the hand touching and then you have like the looking, and it was like, oh my god. But with like Princess Leia and Han Solo, she went, I love you, and he went, I know. And it just kind of stopped, and it wasn't prolonged. And even though you're meant to invest in the characters in the love story and you want to see more, I think with this showing less with the originals actually worked. And that's why I don't really think that Rey and Kylo Ren's relationship, I don't think it should go. And many people are for it, but I am not for it. Another love story as well, there's very much like love stories, was Finn and Rose. Now Rose was a new character introduced into this. I'm sure she wasn't in the Force Awakens, I'm sure, but she found Finn and Finn was about to escape and she like tasered him, and then they found a way because the rebellion ship was being tracked by the First Order, and every time they went into light speed they would come like 30 seconds afterwards. So they were trying to find out how they could like disarm the tracking device in the First Order ship. I think it's called the First Order ship. I'm so sorry if I'm getting the ship wrong, please don't kill me. At least I'm not calling it a Death Star. But anyway, it was just like, oh yeah, okay, fair enough, they're working together. And then as it went on, you kind of saw, oh my god, this is gonna be a love story. And then as Finn is flying into the cannon, she like saves him and crashes like her spaceship into his so he doesn't go into the cannon. And then like she's all like, Finn's like, oh my god, Rose, 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 and then like he finds in her spaceship and she's like, I've always loved you, or something along those lines, and she just like kisses him, and then you're like, oh my god, she's gonna die. And then she dies. Well, we think she's died. She passed out or she's died, we don't really know. We had no clarification on that. There we go, my words. But it just seemed so predictable. It was just like, yeah, okay. It was so clichéic in its ways with the love story. Two storylines, Kylo Ren and Rey, and Finn and Rose. I wasn't invested in their love story. Probably more so Finn and, I keep on saying Flynn, Finn and Rose's love story I was more invested in than Kylo Ren's and Rey's. Now, this is going to be a big spoiler for you guys, and I know you already know it's a spoiler, but I'm just going to tell you this is one of the big spoilers, is that Kylo Ren kills Snoke. Now, Snoke to me I wasn't invested in, because to me he was just a rehash of Palpatine, and like he's a big like dude trying to get a young guy into a Sith Lord or whatever. It just kind of, him as a character I didn't really like. So I wasn't invested with him dying. However, I already knew this because some stupid person gone and spoiled it for me. And I kind of didn't believe him because I'm like, it literally hasn't come out yet. I know that there's people like the Variety person and Holly Willoughby that spoiled it. But I was like, come on mate, I'm not taking this. But then when it happened, I was like, okay. Because he tried to spoil a lot more of the film, that I was on edge all the way throughout going, oh my god, this might actually happen. So when Snoke died, I kind of was like, even though I didn't believe the guy who was spoiling it for me, I kind of thought, oh well. I kind of already knew that was going to happen, and I had a suspicion that that was going to happen, and I wasn't invested in his character. And I think it was kind of more to show how Kylo Ren has more conflict in him now, especially after killing his father. He's trying to prove himself to Snoke that yes, I killed my father, look, ha ha ha, and Snoke's not really taking it, so he's just gone and like killed him to be like, ha, but I can kill you, bro, boy. Now, there was one part with a certain character that made me upset, and it was Luke Skywalker dying. He just died, and it was like, oh okay, I wasn't expecting that from this film. But I was really upset because we learned so much more about what happened between the originals to Force Awakens, what Luke Skywalker was doing in this film. Now, we understood from Force Awakens, Han Solo said that he was training young Jedis, and he was like, something bad happened and Kylo Ren technically was formed. Now, with this story, you find out more about Kylo Ren and actually Luke Skywalker. Now, there's many different variations between this. There's 3 variations, and to me, we didn't really get a clear indication as to which one was true. Like, you could say the 3rd one was, in effect, because it was the last one, but to me, I think there's still more to this story than they kind of led on. But with this, you found out the conflict between Luke Skywalker, and you understood the guilt that he also felt because it's his sister's sort of like child, and she trusted him with him, and now he's literally like Darth Vader version 2, and you can see that he kind of wanted to make himself sound good, so he tried to like say, oh no, it was this, it was that, he was the bad guy, Kylo Ren was the bad guy. Then Kylo Ren was like, no, he tried to kill me with a lightsaber. And then actually Mark said, yeah, well, not Mark, Luke said, yeah, I kind of saw the darkness in him, and I think he was getting turned by Snoke and Kylo Ren. And Rey's like, well no, Kylo Ren, there was still good in him, you could have turned him, you could have helped him, not tried to kill him. And you saw that actually, yeah, Luke kind of helped make him. And I know he was trying to do good by trying to kill him, but what kind of good would that have made if Luke actually killed him? And when it has a confrontation between Kylo Ren and between Luke Skywalker, you can see that even Kylo Ren is conflicted in himself. Now, throughout, and I said before with Snoke, he was trying to prove himself, and to be fair, he's a wannabe Darth Vader, and he's trying so much to be like him and to be better than him. He literally got a Death Star type thing, and to me it was like, he's even got a mask and he doesn't really need it. He can breathe finally. He's not like disfigured in any way. He can be fine. But I think he's always trying to prove himself. And there was a bit where Luke said, there's so much in of your father in you, something along those lines. And you can see in his face that he's like, oh my god, I killed my father. And it's like, even though before he's going, I killed my father, I killed him, and Snoke is like dismissing it, you can see how he's trying to be like proud of it, and he's like trying to own that, but in a sense he's not really owning it. And kind of Luke's just gone and slammed him down, going, you're like your father, there's so much like you, and you just killed him. Now there is a bit that I will talk about in the next bit that talks more about his conflict, and especially between Kylo Ren and Princess Leia, his mum. But right now, the conflict between them two, and how infuriated Kylo Ren got at Luke, and he's like, put all the guns that you've got on him. He's trying to kill him, and he's trying to put like his lightsaber through him, which I thought, because Kylo Ren tried to kill him so many times, he went through like the heart with the lightsaber, he tried to like cut him in half, and it didn't work. So I was like, oh my god, is he like immortal? Has Luke gone and became immortal by using the Force? I was like, poof. But no, basically he was just using the Force to do what Snoke did with Rey and with Kylo Ren, to like connect them using the Force. So actually it was just all like a figuration or something in his brain. I don't know how the Force works with this, but it wasn't real. And then we see Luke Hamill, we see Luke Skywalker sitting down, and he's like he's floating, and then he falls back down, and then all of a sudden you see him sit down, and then he just vanishes, and his like cloak thing just kind of whisks off into the background, and then you just have Rey and Leia going, Luke's died. And it's like, I know. And it was like, it wasn't sad, it was peaceful. And it was just like, that's how you kill the main man in this saga, the whole thing around him, and you just kill him like that. Like, don't get me wrong, he deserves a peaceful death because he's like Luke Skywalker, but you just kill him like that? It just kind of, I was sitting there and I was like shocked. I was like, oh my god, he's actually dead. No, he's not. You tricked me a couple of times here. He's not. And I was like trying to believe, and I'm like, no, he's dead. He's literally dead, and he's not coming back. And I didn't think they would do this in this film. I didn't even sort of have any speculation that he was going to die in this film. There was nothing. And I think it just kind of shocked you when it happened, because you're like, oh, I did not see that happening, and it happened. So now, as a big fan of Star Wars, I knew that maybe pretty much in this film, that one of our beloved characters would die in this film. Now, you know who I'm on about. I'm on about Carrie Fisher's character, Princess Leia. Now, there's no disrespect to her in this because I love her to pieces. I think even in this film, her acting was superb and outstanding. However, walking into this film, I expected something to say, look, she's not coming back, to almost conclude her story, either by her getting killed or by her like slowly well, not slowly, but like passing away, and there'd be something there to kind of conclude it. However, instead we had Luke Skywalker, that I just spoiled before for you now, that died instead, and she got nothing, and it kind of left me sitting there going, well, how are they going to show that she's not here anymore in the next episode? What's going to happen? Is there more footage of her that they've made from this film that they're going to sort of make into like a way that she's died? Because I don't want them to just turn around in the next film and just go, Princess Leia has died. Well, General Leia Organa, I can't say her surname, her new name, but just turn around and just say that, because I think she's such an iconic character that should have been a clear way to sort of like just let her go. Because Han Solo, we saw how he died, we saw how Luke died, and I think if we just have someone standing there just telling everyone in the Resistance that, oh yeah, you know, she just kind of passed away, I don't think that would be gratifying to me and probably many other people as being fans of this franchise. Now, walking into it, as I just said, I thought she was, and I thought either at the start or at the end. Now, I was fully aware that she filmed all of the stuff that she needed before she died for The Last Jedi, so I was like, well, I expect her to last a little bit longer in the film. And then there was a bit that kind of went, oh my god, they killed her off then. You had Kylo Ren in his TIE fighter jet, if I can remember the names of them. You had him in his, and he's about to shoot these like laser blowy up bomb things into the part where she is standing, and you have this sort of like shot and editing of her, and then you have him, and then you have her, and you can see that almost in some weird way they're connecting with each other. And he refrains and doesn't like shoot anything, but then there's two TIE fighters that come behind him and shoot and blow the whole thing up, and you see Princess Leia being blown away, and you think, okay, they killed her like that, quite suddenly and extravagant, but you can understand why, as much as we don't want to. And I was still upset, I was still going, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, I don't want her to. But I understood that maybe this is really all they had, and it was actually a way that they could sort of kill her off without affecting the more stories. I was kind of thinking this was a choice. They hadn't just done it to be like, oh, she's only going to be in 5 minutes of the film, because they had so much more of her like shooting that they could do. But maybe this was just like an editorial decision by the director that maybe it's better to just have her off at the start. However, then we see her sort of wake up, and she's in space with all like this sort of like junk and debris around her floating around, and she wakes up and you can see her face starting to like ice and stuff. I don't know, because of science or something. I don't know what happens when you're in space without like protection, but her face starts to sort of ice around, and then all of a sudden she like wakes up, and then she starts doing an action that I kind of went, what? She, you know, walking in the air, when they're like, we're walking in the air, you have the snowman and he's going like flying through the air. She looked like that, and it looked so stupid, and what has just happened? Then she like flew sort of thing to the spaceship, one of the Wars in spaceship, and Poe and I think Finn sort of like opened it up, and like she came in, and then they because she was dying, they put her in like this thing, and I was like, I'm glad she's alive, because I wanted to see more from her, because I didn't want her to be killed off at the start, but I would have understood why they did it. But I was like going, I wanted more, and I got more. but I think how they did it, like bringing her back to life, kind of just seemed a bit comedic and also a bit, what? Like unrealistic. Like I know it's Star Wars and it's not realistic, but even in the world it's just seemed a little bit stupid and a bit unrealistic for it. But I was glad she was back, and she was amazing in this, and she was funny, just like I said with Luke Skywalker. She had some comedic parts with her and she was an amazing actress. But even at the end there was nothing to conclude her story, so I was left going, well, how are they going to do it for the next installment? What are they going to do? And as I said, I don't want them to just stand there and go, she's died, because I don't think that would be the best standoff for her. However, I thought, what, couldn't they just do it in this? Because I think many others, including me, were ready to see her go. Like, not in like a horrible way. We never wanted to see her or Han or Luke go, but we understood the circumstances and we didn't want anyone to replace Carrie Fisher, because Carrie Fisher is Princess Leia down to a T. She is that character and she's so iconic, nobody else could play her. We didn't want that, but I think that we wanted something just to conclude her story and just to pack it up nice and tightly, and I hope that they do it in the next installment, and I hope they don't do it how I just said that I don't want them to do it in, and I hope that they do it in a more respectful way. And I know they're not being disrespectful in that, but I just think even for the fans, I think that they should do something better than just standing around saying she's died, which I hope they don't. I will shut up because I'm getting really emotional, because I don't want them to do it. I'm really passionate about them doing something good for Princess Leia to conclude her story. Now, in conclusion, my final thoughts in this film, I was talking to one of my friends and he is like a devout Star Wars fan, and even he said it was a great film but it wasn't a great Star Wars film, and I couldn't agree more. Now, I'm very much attached to the originals and I love the originals so much. I've only watched them like 3 or 4 times, maybe, well no, that's probably a lie, maybe like 2 or 3 times, because I've only just started getting into the franchise like over the summer. But even I'm like devoted fan to this, and I hated the prequels because, as Screen Junkies said, they should have left well enough alone, and I completely agree. I think when they started getting into the technicals of like it's something in like your bloodstream or something that gives you the Force, I think they started to like go into it too much, and it ruined sort of like the franchise, because the thing with the Force is you just didn't know, and it was just this like new thing that only some people had a grasp of. So when you were watching it in the originals you're like, oh my god, this is like amazing, I want the Force, like oh my god, is it something I could have? And then you find out it's like bacteria, and it's like, well, there's no reason, there's no hope. Like, I know it's like not realistic, but I think many people that are like grown up with the originals and then saw the prequels kind of thought it was like tarnishing what they loved. And I think with Force Awakens, even though Force Awakens isn't, and Last Jedi isn't half as bad as the prequels, I do think they should have just left well enough alone, and I do think they are stretching it out now and exploiting it. As much as I wanted to see what happens with Han Solo, Princess Leia, Chewbacca, C-3PO, R2-D2, Luke Skywalker, all of those characters that I love to pieces, I do think that they should have just left well enough alone. Now, at the end, there was like some teaser of like a new sort of uprising Jedis. You had this boy that had the resistance or rebellion sort of like ring thing on him, and he grabbed this like stick called broomstick and he just like held it up to the sky, and he saw like these like jet things, like spaceship things flying, and you looked at it and it was like, oh my god. Now we already know, because the director for this has been contracted to do 3 more other films on Star Wars after this trilogy has finished, so we know we're going to get 4 more films of this, including like the next one, it's going to be 4, and like we're going to have spin-offs with Han Solo's Solo, a Star Wars story, coming out next year. I do think I don't know when's the right time to stop, because I think now they're in a spot where maybe they had a perfect opportunity to stop now, but now that they've got like a new saga of it, they may have to keep on sort of getting it in that loop. And also with Star Wars, there was another thing that Screen Junkies said about how in the Return of the Jedi honest trailer, which I highly recommend because I love honest trailers and I loved the Star Wars ones, I'll link them all down below, what he said was that basically everything is kind of a New Hope. It's like rehashing scenes of the New Hope and the storylines. Like you have the Death Star and you have to try and blow it up, and then it's like, oh yay, happy, we're thingy, and then they uprise again and you have to do the same. And I think it's very, I think they're trying to structure it the same, so because they know that that format works. And I think now with them having to like promise on formal films and obviously like spin-offs as well, I think they're gonna try and do the same storyline and structure because they know how much it works. So I do think that maybe it would just get sort of, I don't know, just sort of used again. And also Kylo Ren says a line that kind of is true, and I can't really do it word for word, but he says, let the old things die, it's time for new. And I completely agree. I think also this is why they're killing off Luke Skywalker and Princess Leia and Han Solo, because they want to do a new resurgence of it. But to us, we don't want the new, we want the old, because we don't like change as people, because we're human beings and it's not right, and we just want Chewbacca to rip off someone's arms because that's a Chewbacca we know and we love. But we don't get that in this, and I will stop talking because I think I'm rambling on and this was meant to be a short conclusion. I am so sorry. And also I have no battery on my camera, I've just seen it flashing. So anyway guys, I will leave you on that note. If there's any more that you want me to talk about with Last Jedi, I think I'm going to watch it again soon. If there's anything that I see changed with like the plot or anything, I will come back and I will be making another review on it. If there is, I will tell you about it. Also comment down below on any films that you'd like to see me do. Go and follow me on any social media so you can be interactive with the polls and you can talk to me with any of the films. I will see you guys soon. I'm trying to rush because I don't want it to stop halfway through my conclusion. But anyway guys, sorry for rambling, sorry for being a long video, but nice talking to you guys and I'll see you soon. Bye, and may the force be with you. Reference.